Hey friends, welcome back to the Audacity Bootcamp. Well, as I promised you in the last video, this video is going to talk to you more about the label track. I showed you in the last video how to use a label track to separate groups of synced tracks that you want to keep synced together with each other, but not necessarily your entire project synced. Well, in this lesson, we're going to look at the label track as a label track, which is what it's called, and I'm going to show you how to use it in that way. So let's get going. I've got a fictitious waveform open here in one track. It's a waveform that I've used in previous training in another setting, and it's really just kind of me rambling on, as you'll hear in just a minute. But when we talk about the label track, using the label track is an extremely good way to point out anomalies in your audio. If you are listening back to the audio as it's playing and you're doing your editing and you hear some weird thing, there's some weird background noise or just something that doesn't belong, using the label track is a good way to mark that so that you can come back to it later if you need to and do some editing on it there. I know in the previous video we talked about using the label track in relation to sync lock tracks, but the label track is more than just a sync lock track separator. It's also what it says it is. It's a way to label a track. So I'm going to show you how to use a label track in this example here. There's a couple of ways that we can do this. First of all, I want us to go up to the Audacity drop-down window, and let's double check some preferences. If we open up the preferences window, we need to, I think it's in tracks behaviors. I need you to make sure that your preferences are set where you have type to create a label checked. That's important. That means that you'll be able to just start typing to create a label, which I'm going to show you how to do in just a moment. And the next thing I want us to look at here in the preferences window is concerning the keyboard. I want to look at some keyboard shortcuts here, actually one keyboard shortcut. If we come up here into the search window and type the word label, we'll see that there in the middle it says add label to selection using the keyboard shortcut command B, and add label at playback position is command plus period. So we know that we have those two as well. I'm going to cancel out of here. And then I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to hit spacebar to start playing this track. And again, this track's just kind of some nonsense. You don't really need to pay attention to it. But as it plays along, I want to enter some labels so that you can see what that looks like. And again, to do that, I'm going to be using the keyboard shortcut, command period, to insert a comment where the playhead is in that moment. So let's listen. This is a track that I'm recording for lecture 29 on ums, repeats, and false starts. There's my first label, and I'm going to type help and how do you eliminate false starts and repeats? Let's say, for instance, I'm talking about something, and as I'm talking, let's enter another one now, command period. Let's type the word here. And so as a result of that, I'm going, and then one more, command period. Yikes. I like the color blue. And let's talk about, then I hit the spacebar to stop. Now you can see that as the playhead was moving along, I was able to enter, using that keyboard shortcut, command period, to insert labels right where the playhead was in that moment while the playhead continued to play. So that's one way to enter text into the label track. You don't have to create the label track ahead of time. As long as you have your preferences set to where typing creates a label, you don't have to have the label track there ahead of time. It will create it for you as you're listening back to your audio. Now, another way to do this is if you place the playhead at a spot that you suspect's kind of weird, like right here. Let's use this high point right here where I've got a little bit of a peaked audio. Let's put the playhead right there. And this time, let's press the keyboard shortcut. Remember, the other keyboard shortcut was Command B. And that enables us to put a label wherever we've got the playhead or the cursor set in that moment. This is different than while it's playing. While it's playing, it's going to put the label wherever the playhead was while it was playing back. This way, you select where you want the label to be placed, and by putting your playhead there and then typing. So right here, let's just put a couple of question marks, hit enter, and there's our label there. Now let's say, for example, that you had a piece of audio here where I just put that last label with the question marks. Let's say it was more than just a spot. Let's say you wanted to look at a segment of the track. You can take your label track. If you go to one side there, you can see it kind of turns a different color. And you can grab that, and you can also make it a span so that you're telling yourself or someone who's working on a project with you, hey, there's something in this area right here that isn't right. Let's come back and pay more attention to this spot, to this area right here, and let's figure out what it is. So that's a couple ways to use the label track as a label track. It's a good way. It's like note keeping while you're editing. And it can be an effective way. It can be a powerful way to make sure that you're catching anomalies within your waveform as you're editing, and you're marking those out so that you can come back and spend time looking at them and creating better audio. So that's the label track. So that's a look at the label tracks within Audacity and how to use those and the power of the label track. Hey, if you like what's going on here in the Audacity Bootcamp, be sure and subscribe and hit that bell in order to be notified of future episodes. You can also visit me online at audacitybootcamp.com at any time. So thanks again for checking out my video, and until next week, bye.